Hello guys, welcome to Players Guild. My name is Loki and today we are going to be looking at part 2 of the Fighters. So Fighters is one of the classes you can get for your mercenaries in Hearthstone's newest game mode that's going to go live on 12th of October. So at the moment we're doing a lot of analyzing, as it is a custom for our channel. We are going to be grading all the mercenaries that are datamined at the moment. Shout out to Out of Cards who datamined all of the mercenaries. We already have parts 1 and 2 for the protectors and part 1 of the fighters already on the channel, so make sure to check them out. But without further ado, let's go on and check today's mercenaries. Daughter of the Frostwolf, Rokara. So Rokara was the very first mercenary we have seen from the new mercenary book of mercenaries, whatever they call it, the new PvE adventure in Hearthstone. So Rokara is a green orc, or rather a fighter orc. And level 1 she has 3 attack and 11 health. Level 15 she has 5 attack and 39 health. And level 30 she has 9 attack and 71 health. So she is on the lower end of the health. She's still above 70. 9 attack. I think a lot of orcs are gaining tons of attack if they're melee characters, so I think that's what we're going to see with her. So checking her first ability, Tribal Warfare. It's a 7 speed ability. Attack an enemy. If you control another orc, gain 1 attack first. It's actually a really good ability because it scales all the way up to +5 attack on rank 5, so one of the few abilities that you do want to rank up as fast as possible to high level, because getting that 5 attack is really crucial. And it's also a lot of attack if you think about it. If she has some equipment that further increases her attack, I don't think she's going to be on the level of the attack gain that Samuro has. Because Samuro can get 13 attack every turn, and that's just ridiculous for a melee character. But getting 5 attack every time you attack is decent. You do need to have another orc, so it is dependent on your composition and what else you can get. Her second ability is Offensive Rally. It's a 2 speed ability with cooldown 1. And whenever a friendly character attacks this turn, give it +1/+2. Okay, so sadly she can't boost herself. Well, obviously, because you can't attack the turn you use the ability. But it is a good ability for the token strategies. It is whenever any friendly character attacks, so all the melee compositions are just going to be good with Rokara in it, just for that offensive rally every other turn. And it scales fairly nicely as well, although it does have the rank 3 breakpoint, so at rank 3 it gets +4 attack, +8 health, and then rank 4 it's +10 health, still +4 attack, and rank 5 is +5, +10. So if you can have something, this actually with Samuro is really good because Samuro can attack multiple times. If you can get those 2 attacks out, or even with Illidan, because Illidan also had 2 or 3 attacks a turn, so every time he attacks he gains health and attack. So this is a strong ability if you can pair it up with something like Illidan. So I really like this. And her final ability is Orc Onslaught. 7 speed ability with 1 cooldown. Deal 4 damage. Repeat for each other orc you control. And so breakpoint on rank 3 it's 10 damage. And then on rank 5 it goes only to 12 damage. 12 damage is of course quite good. But if you have, let's say, 5 other orcs at 10 damage, that's 60 damage you can deal. 60 damage on one ability every other turn. This actually doesn't even require Rokara to scale. It just requires you to build the tokens. So if you have 2 other characters that build tokens, you can even do 50 damage on the first swing of Rokara if the tokens survive, if your opponent doesn't do just some giant board wipe. It is a strong ability. It is fairly slow, but I think it needs to so you can set up. So abilities that Rokara has are fairly level with with themselves. They're nothing great. I mean, the second ability is really good. The second ability lets you build up any melee comp, and I think that's going to be the main reason to run Rokara. And I think that one ability is going to make her quite good. Frostwolf Talisman, Tribal Warfare gives an additional 1 attack, and it goes all the way up to +4. So Tribal Warfare was the first ability, if I remember correctly. Yes, it is. Just a quick check. So now you can attack and gain 9 attack every time you use that, which, yeah, it gets there. It doubles her attack on the max level. It's decent equipment. Offensive Rally gives an additional +1/+2, and it scales to +2/+4. This one is actually amazing. I think Help of Inspiration and Offensive Rally is going to be the way to go with Rokara, because of what I said about Samuro and about Illidan. I think there's going to be something there. And her last equipment is just Ancestral Armor, which passively gives up to 20 health. I don't think she needs more health, because she's not... I mean, she is a melee character, technically, because her basic ability does the melee attack. Her middle ability supports other melee attacks, and her last ability just supports orc comps. So she's a bit of a... Yeah, she's kind of like a jack of all trades. She has a bit of everything. She's a bit of a support, a bit of damage. I think the best way to play her, to use her, is going to be that Offensive Rally and the Orc Takedown, or whatever was her final ability. So building an Orc composition. Alternatively, you can do Offensive Rally and use the Tribal Warfare every now and then, but I still think you would use Offensive Rally with that Inspiration Helmet. She is solid. It's nothing to write home about. She's good for a rare, but I don't think she's anything amazing. So I think I would grade her as B. Overlord Saurfang. Well, I don't think he's an Overlord anymore in the lore. After he... I think he's even dead. Yeah, Sylvanas killed him. Spoiler alert. So Saurfang is an Orc fighter. Level 1 he has 2 attack and 12 health. Level 15 he has 5 attack and 40 health. And level 30 he has 9 attack and 70 health. So he is a tiny bit weaker than Rokara. But all in all, I don't think this is going to be a major difference between the two of them. So his first ability, Mobilizing Strike, 6 speed ability, attack an enemy, give all your damaged orcs +1/+1. Now this is a strong ability, especially if you go with essentially melee composition, because then all of your orcs are going to be damaged, and I think orcs generally support melee. It scales nicely. The most important one is going to be hitting rank 3, because it's +3/+3. And after that, it just increases health by more, so +3/+5. And this is something that we have seen a lot with abilities like this. They just scale to give up to 3 attack, especially if they're wide buff. And then they only give health. It's good enough. It works with orcs. Especially for melee composition, getting that attack. Less so health, but it is a bit of survivability. Another way to proc your own ability is Whirlwind, which is, yeah. So it's a free speed ability with cooldown 1. You deal 2 damage to enemies and 1 damage to your characters. So as it scales up, it always deals 1 damage to your characters, which is good. You don't want to deal more than 1 damage to your characters. Question I have is, can this critically hit your characters? Does that mean, should you avoid having casters on your team? I don't think there is any orc casters. I think orcs are protectors and fighters only. But in case you have a caster, do you want to avoid having casters? Especially for melee. It scales nicely on the damage. 8 damage on rank 3 and then 10 damage on rank 5. It's pretty much what we expected. He might have an equipment that flat out increases the damage to enemies. I hope it's only 2 enemies. And his final ability is Blade Hand Berserker, which is spawning a token. It's a 4-speed, 1 cooldown ability, like all the tokens are 1 cooldown. It's an Orc. On rank 1, it's 2-5, and whenever a character takes damage, gain +1 attack. It's like a Frothing Berserker from Hearthstone. So whenever anyone in here is going to be taking damage, he gains attack. He just becomes bigger, and as he ranks up, on rank 3, he gains +3 attack. Then I assume he just gains stats, but we don't have datamine for the token stats, so we don't know how the token stats actually change as you level up. So as always on the tokens, I'm going to be cautious on the safe side. He does get, if he's going to get damage himself with something or even with attacking, I assume tokens can only attack. Don't think they have any abilities. I might be proven wrong. Waiting on the 12th of October when I can actually get my hands on it. So if he's going to be attacking, then taking damage back, then Saurfang can give him additional stats. Rokara can give him additional stats. So all of that Orc synergy is there. So Orc melee composition might be something interesting. For Saurfang's equipment, the first one we have is Saronite Stompers. So Saronite Stompers increases the mobilizing strikes attack and health gain. So up to +4/+4. So giving +7/+9 is actually quite decent. Because +7/+9 is actually a lot. Because it gives it to all of your damaged characters. This might be actually really, really scary. His next equipment is Berserker's Blade, which has a Gorehowl icon. Fine. And this is, as I said, Whirlwind deals more damage to the enemies. Flat out damage increase up to 4, so you can do 14 damage to your enemies while still dealing 1 damage to your own board. And last but not least is Serrated Shield, which gives passive stats increase to Saurfang. Starts as +2/+6 and then increases attack by 1 and health by 2, so ends up +5/+12. This is good enough. I think the mobilizing strike equipment is going to be a bit better, especially if you can go wide. But then that requires you to first play a token of Saurfang, then have someone else who can spawn Orc tokens. Although, I think Mobilizing Strike actually doesn't give only to Orcs. Oh no, it only gives to Orcs. So no, it's Orc tokens. I think Saurfang is the only one who can spawn Orc tokens. So, yeah, I think Mobilizing Strike. Orcs have a lot of supporting each other and like AoE buffs in melee. I'm kind of starting to dig this, because with Rokara, Saurfang, Thrall had some nice abilities as well. Garrosh, of course. There is a potential for Orcs to be actually really good. As far as Saurfang goes, I mean, +7/+9 to your whole board seems very enticing. So I think, even as an epic, I think I'm going to grade him as A. And now we have yet another of the new original characters for Mercenary. Scabs Cutterbutter, an ex-chef, now an SI7 agent. So he is our first gnome character. He's a fighter gnome and he is a rogue. He has a very peculiar stat line, so I assume as a rogue he's going to be a melee character, but he has only 1 attack and 10 health on level 1. 4 attack and 38 health on level 15, and max level 30 he has 8 attack and 69 health, so he has attack equal to a few of the casters or non-melee characters. and also life under 70. I know it's not by a huge margin, but he has his life total under 70, which might be, yeah, it is definitely interesting. Well, his first ability is Tactical Strike. It's a 4-speed ability that says attack an enemy, combo. So if you used if another ability has been used before this one, deal 2 damage to it as well, and that scales to 5, 8, then 9 and 10, so a breakpoint being rank 3 again. So dealing up to 10 damage on top of your attack. I can see this working with Rokara, actually, even though under Rokara is Horde, Scabs is Alliance. I can see this working with Rokara because you use her ability whenever a friendly character attacks, it gains stats. So you can make Scabs bigger, and that also enables the combo. So you can also deal that additional 10 damage. And yeah, not much more to say about this ability. It's a basic attack ability. Okay, so this one I have not grabbed fully, but Wicked Stab, you choose to deal 4, 7 or 10 damage, and it has varying speed with 1 cooldown. So the more damage you do, the slower the ability gets. It scales alright. Rank 3 as always is the breakpoint, where it's 8, 13 or 18. And then rank 5 it goes all the way to 20. I think this ability is better than it looks, because 20 damage against the caster, that's going to be 40 damage. That's pretty much half of the life total of majority of the characters. I think there's only one character we have seen with above 80 base. So unless they get boosted on health, this is taking half of caster's health. I think this is attacking with speed 9 though, so it is going to be very slow, and if they're going to expect this, you might want to expect your Scabs getting targeted as well. And his final ability is Shadow Blade, which is a 6-speed ability with cooldown 1. Attack an enemy, then gain stealth. So stealth, I assume, is going to be working the same as in regular Hearthstone, which means your character can't be targeted or it can be attacked, which makes this very interesting. So the way it scales is it becomes faster. So you can do it at 2 speed, which, if you are going for the Rokara build, I don't think you want to do. I think you want to keep it at 3 speed, because then Rokara is going to use her AoE buff on 2 speed, and you will always have Shadow Blade afterwards. If you put it up to 2 speed, that means you have 50-50 if Scabs is going to get that buff. I think definitely you want... This is, I think, second time where you don't want to be leveling up the ability past certain level. It's interesting enough. For his equipment, we have SI7 Contract, Tactical Strikes, combo effect, deals 1 more damage, and that increases by up to 4, so it's flat out damage increase. It's a good damage increase, it becomes 14 damage. Parrying Knife, Wicked Stab deals 2 more damage, so again flat out damage increase to the varying speed ability, and it can increase damage by up to 5, so 25, 50 damage against the caster, even 25 on its own. It's a third of a lot of characters' life. So it's also quite a decent equipment. And the final one is Honing Road, which Shadow Blade gives +1 attack first. So that's the one that gives you stealth, and then it goes all the way to +4 attack. So problem with this is you can only use Shadow Blade every other turn because it has cooldown. Getting 4 attack every single time is nice. But I think increasing the damage of Wicked Blade or increasing the combo damage... Well, the combo is not that consistent because you need to be able to act before that, and it's fairly fast ability at 4. So Honing Road might be alright choice. Scabs on its own, he doesn't look like he's getting enough attack to be a good melee character. I think he's not very impressive. I like the fact that he gains stealth. It's a really cool ability. He possibly has some potential, but I think he's not exactly a good caster ability because varying speed on his abilities, no skull on that ability. He doesn't gain attack on his own unless you do the Honing Road with Shadow Blade, but then Shadow Blade only works every other turn, or you use him with Rokara and make some weird melee build. I think Rokara has a better uses with other characters like Illidan and Samura, which can multi-attack. So as far as my grade goes, I think Scabs is going to be grade C. He's not impressive. If I'm going to get him, probably it's going to be forever before I'm leveling him up, because I can't imagine him being any decent. That stealth is good. Probably the stealth is going to be the best against casters because you can't target him, so I assume you won't be able to target him, even though he might be losing stealth after the ability. So that might be interesting enough. And then if he gains stealth before you target it with the ability, hopefully that ability is just going to fizzle because he's going to be untargetable. That one I will need to test. I'm not going to lie, I do want to test that one, how it's going to work. If it works like that, he might be quite interesting as a caster counter, but that's provided they don't have AoE that's just going to wipe him off. And if they're using Diablo for their AoE, it might be, yeah, if Diablo is going to be fast enough, it might be problematic. And now, Old High Ranger and the Queen of the Horde. In my heart, she's still War Chief of the Horde, even though she already went and betrayed everyone. Sylvanas Windrunner. She's a fighter undead, even though we do have her portrait while she is still pretty much an alive high elf. She is classified as an undead. The Banshee Queen. So Sylvanas is a non-melee character that uses her attack. That's very interesting. So she has 3 attack and 10 health on level 1. On level 15, she has 5 attack, 37 health. Level 30, she has 9 attack and 66 health. Very low health total. She gets just a bit more than Ragnar's, and for a very good reason she's so low, because she can be very powerful, especially with a token build. So her first ability, her basic ability, is Banshee Bolt. It's a shadow ability with 8 speed, which deals damage equal to this mercenary's attack. So it's kind of like you're shooting an arrow, right? You do the physical damage, but you don't get a swing back. And this ability scales up, as you would imagine. It just becomes faster and faster and goes all the way up to 4 speed. Because this is not an attack proc, it's not going to work with cards that when a character attacks do something, even though it is using an attack. At the same time, if you're going to increase the shadow damage, as far as I understand, it's going to be dealing this mercenary's attack plus that shadow damage, which is nice enough. There's some nice uses for that. I know there is some fell damage increase. I think there is some shadow damage interaction as well. And next ability is Reclaimed Souls, which is a very peculiar ability. So it's a 10 speed ability with cooldown 1. It's a shadow ability. And it says gain +1 attack for each friendly character that died this game. It doesn't check only mercenaries, it checks characters. So all your tokens that died, and things like that, she gets +1 attack, and it scales up all the way up to +5 attack for each friendly character that died. So, as fun as this is going to sound, for me, Sylvanas is a finisher for a Murloc composition. Because they're going to have tons of Murlocs, tons of tokens, they're going to sacrifice those tokens, which we have seen with Mutanus and Old Murkai already. And then Sylvanas comes out from nowhere. You use this once, and let's say you had 5 tokens die. She becomes a 34 attack character. Just like that. As soon as she comes out, she needs to be targeted down and she needs to be taken down, because one of those attack gains and then her Banshee Bolt is just going to be picking up any leftover characters on board. And her final ability is for the Queen. Choose an enemy. An adjacent enemy attacks it. It's a very powerful ability. It's an 8 speed and 2 cooldown ability, so you can use it every 3 turns. And as you level it up, so on rank 2, it becomes 7 speed ability. On rank 3, which is going to be its breaking point, both of the adjacent enemies attack the chosen enemy. So you choose something in the middle, and the 2 enemies on the sides are going to crash into it, which is enormous. Especially if you're against a melee comp, they will just take off each other. If you can do it properly, if they have a fighter in the middle and 2 protectors on the sides, the fighter is just disintegrating. And yeah, then it just further increases the speed. It goes down to 5 speed. I think this is a really good ability. Would I use it on cooldown? Probably not, because I think reclaiming the souls is more important, because she becomes bigger, and then her Banshee's Bolt is able to pick that apart. If you manage to hold on to your Murlocs for a long while, and then you have 10 of them die, suddenly she becomes 60 attack character. For no reason at all. And then she can just pick out opposing composition just like that. Her first equipment is Soul Jar. Reclaimed souls gives 1 more attack. That goes all the way to +4. As far as I understand this equipment, it increases the total attack gained. Note that it gains 9 attack per character that died. So it's alright. It just increases the damage dealt. It's nothing great. Mournblade, which passively increases Sylvanas' attack all the way up to +5. Again, it's a passive increase. It's good enough. I think Reclaimed Souls is just going to be huge enough if you build this correctly that it's not going to matter if you have Mournblade or not. And the last one, Death Volley. It gives Sylvanas a Death Rattle ability. On rank 1, deals damage equal to this mercenary's attack to 1 random enemy. On rank 2, it starts on rank 2, so the rank 3 it deals to 2 random enemies. And on rank 4, when Sylvanas dies, she deals damage equal to her attack to all enemies. If you just played Sylvanas and you reclaimed soul once, you have a 30 to 60 damage bomb waiting. If they don't take care of her, she's just going to pick their team apart. If they do take care of her, she's just going to wipe their team. I think Murlocs just got a big boss monster, and I find it funny that Sylvanas, the Banshee Queen, is going to be leading an army of Murlocs, and I so want to build this composition now. As far as Sylvanas goes, she's a very strong character. She is kind of self-contained, kind of not. For me, she's on that verge of being between A rank and S rank. She has some really strong abilities. That Queen's Order, when the enemies attack each other. She's very strong on removal. Her equipment is a bit lackluster. The Death Volley is the best one, but you need to build specifically for that. So you need to have lots of tokens coming on board, and she has a very low life total, so she can actually be picked up before even her Reclaimed Souls is going to trigger. So yeah, I think I'm going to give her grade A. She is strong. She is really good, but she's not self-contained and she's very easy to counter, so I don't think she's going to be out there as one of the most powerful mercenaries. I still love her. And getting yet another mercenary from the new story. A plague in Hunter's deck. Tavish Storm Pike. So Tavish is a fighter dwarf. He's a hunter, the new hunter reward card, which makes your hero power very unfair. So on level 1 he's 2 attack and 10 health. On level 15 he's 3 attack and 42 health. And on level 30 he is 6 attack and 78 health. So fairly high health total and fairly low attack. I mean very low attack. So I assume he's not a melee character. Probably as a hunter. Token? Trap? I think he was a trap character. Because we already had Rexa. So aimed shot. 7 speed ability. Deal 3 damage. If this merc has not been damaged this turn, deal 6 damage instead. So increases damage twice. And that's just all across the board. At rank 3 is his biggest breakpoint, which is 8 damage and 16 damage respectively. And then at rank 5 he deals up to 20 damage if he has not been damaged. 7 speed ability is fairly slow. So, yeah, it's quite possible that he is going to be damaged. Unlikely you're going to get that 20 damage off. I think that's pretty much all there is to say about this. And there we go into his traps. Explosive trap, a 2 speed ability with cooldown 1. It's a fire trap, which, yeah, it's explosive trap. It's going to burn. The first time this mercenary is damaged this turn, so it's this turn only that the trap works. So it is off-putting for your opponent to attack him in case he activated a trap. If he doesn't activate a trap and goes for aimed shot and you read it correctly, you're good. If he activates a trap, then yeah, you're probably going to walk into it because it's quite fast ability. The damage scales actually quite nicely because it goes all the way up to 16, which is not too bad. Breakpoint being at rank 3, 12 damage. It's also quite good. He has quite high health total, so you can expect the traps to be triggered quite a few times. His second trap is Bear Trap, which when he takes damage this turn again, so it's again a 2 speed 1 cooldown ability, so you can just interchange the traps. The first time this merc takes damage, you summon a 3/5 bear with taunt, and then it scales up. It's 11-15 on rank 3, and then 15-20 on rank 5. It's not high enough, and this one only really stops melee damage. At the same time, it gives you a beast on board, which can see some interactions, or just gives you an additional token. I think this is going to be... I don't say it's going to be good trap. It just gives you a body or gives you the AoE. But that's provided the opponent even cares about Tavish. Because if they don't care about Tavish, the traps are never going to proc. Or if they just AoE you, yeah, the traps are going to proc. But then the other attacks are as well. So it's really difficult to say. His first equipment is high power rounds, which flat out increases the damage of aimed shot, and I assume that's 2 modes. Because it doesn't say anything like deal double damage, but it says deal specific amount of damage. So I think in this case it's just going to increase it by 5, so you can do up to 20. So it's 15 or 25 damage, you still increase by 10 on the max rank. It's just a flat damage increase, it's alright. Hunting Shroud. The Bear Trap Bear has +2 attack and rush, and can gain up to 5 attack. I don't really know how rush works exactly. If I'm thinking correctly, it might work in the way that as soon as it spawns, it attacks a random target. I think that might be it. If it is, this is a really good thing, because the bear becomes 20-20, it can attack into something, and then hopefully at least stop one attack, if it doesn't die against the melee comp. And the last one is Rigged Wiring. Passive gives you more health, all the way up to +10, and your traps last until they are triggered. Okay, so you get the secrets. You get the traps properly, so you can get both of the traps wired up. I think this is going to be absolutely amazing in PvE. I don't think this is good for PvP. I think Tavish is a bit... I don't think Tavish is amazing in PvP. I might be wrong, that Explosive Trap might be really, really good. But as far as I see this, Bear Trap is not that good. Aim Shot is easily countered, especially if you've seen them using the trap. Or if you've seen them set up both of the traps, you can just avoid Tavish until you really need to deal with him. Yeah, he's going to be shooting you for 20 damage each turn, but that can easily be out-healed while you pick up the rest of the team. So, that being said, I think Tavish is not great. I mean, yeah, he can be 88 health, and he can burn the whole team for 16 and deal 20 damage each. But if that's a team with one healer, Tavish does nothing. If it's a team with, oh god, a token composition that has Sylvanas at the back, Tavish is sad. There's a lot of things that it's not going to work. I think all in all, the strategy against Tavish is don't attack him. Yeah, let him do his aimed shot or whatever. Just don't attack him. Or slow him down with Lich King so his traps get slower and slower, and then they can't proc. He can't set up a trap before you attack him. So then his traps don't really do that much if he doesn't have the rigged wiring. So all in all, Tavish is, yeah, I think he's going to be similar to Scavs. He seems alright on paper, but he's not great. So I'm going to grade him C. And now it's time to put your faith in the light. So we have Tyrion Ring. The almighty Tyrion. Oh god, I remember when Hearthstone first started. That was a scourge of a card in Paladin. So, Tyrion is a fighter human. At level 1 he has 3 attack and 13 health. Level 15 he has 7 attack and 41 health. And level 30 he has 12 attack and 73 health. So he's quite high attack. I assume he's going to be a melee character. Yeah, health is roughly where we expect. It's a lower end of 70, so it's alright. Nothing more to say really about his stat lines. I do hope that he has some good abilities because he's a fun character. So his first ability is Divine Assault. 9 speed ability. Attack an enemy. Death Blow. Gain Divine Shield. Okay. So the way it ranks up. On rank 2 it gives this mercenary and a random neighbor Divine Shield. And on rank 3 it gives your all of your characters Divine Shield on Death Blow. Okay, and then it becomes faster. So definitely you want to hit it on rank 3 if you can increase his attack. Otherwise, I think he's going to be absolutely amazing in PvE situations. Just getting the Divine Shield, killing off tokens, small things, etc. I think this might be amazing ability. In PvP, if you can increase his attack, this can stop some really important attacks on your opponent's end. His second ability is Blessing of Kings. So it's a 4-speed holy ability with cooldown 1. Give a character, it doesn't need to be a friendly character, but give a character +2/+2 and Divine Shield. Okay, so you can give all the way +8/+8. He can boost himself. So he can very quickly, on the first turn, become a 2081 Divine Shield character. Oh boy, he's scary. Yeah, he's very... Every other turn he can use Blessing of Kings, getting that additional stats, or giving those stats to someone else. If you have a dedicated taunt in your team, and you're against a solo melee comp, this Blessing of Kings is really scary. +8/+8 and Divine Shield. This will need to get hit. And his final ability is Judgment of Humility. Set an enemy's attack to 3 this turn. Attack them. It's a 6-speed ability with 1 cooldown, and it's a holy ability. So the way it ranks up, it becomes faster all the way up to 2 speed. Oh, and it also reduces the attack further, so on rank 3, it puts down the attack to 1. If you're in a melee comp and you have some slower attacks than this is absolutely amazing to pick up taunts or things like that. Let's say your opponent just built up the whole attack. Oh god, let's say Sylvanas just got tons of attack and you Judgment of Humility her. And then she has 1 attack rather than 80 something. This is a perfect counter to Sylvanas. It's a really good ability. So his first equipment is going to be King's Helm. Blessing of Kings also gives this mercenary +1/+1 all the way up to +4/+4. So you can split the buff, or you can buff Tyrion and give him +12/+12 every other turn. And a Divine Shield. I don't know where to go with this. Blessing of Kings is busted. I think that Blessing of Kings is going to be really important ability for certain builds. He's a human, so there is the whole human interaction with Varian and I think there was someone else. Anduin? I think there is something else that I'm missing. There's a whole human interaction you can do here. His second equipment is Ashbringer. On Death Rattle, give all of your characters +4/+4. And it goes up to +10/+10. I don't know why Tyrion would need an Ashbringer. He's never going to die. I'm not letting him die. Divine Shield every other turn. Just put your faith in the light. Get some heals there, boy. And his final equipment is Tyrion's Shield. Passive. +4 health. It goes all the way up to +10. And he starts with Divine Shield. I mean, he might as well start with a Divine Shield as far as I'm concerned. Although, no, actually, that being said, you can use Blessing of Kings on him. But then why wouldn't you start with this? Oh no, because then you don't get buffs from using Blessing of Kings. But this is not a bad equipment. Because he starts with 10 health and Divine Shield. Means he's more likely to survive to use second Blessings of Kings. So you use Blessings of Kings on one of your other melee characters, give them +8/+8 Divine Shield. And then this character, you can use on this character in 2 turns. I think I would prefer the Helm that makes it so Blessing of Kings also boosts this one. And you just, the first ability you do, Blessing of Kings on Tyrion. Then you attack with his basic attack and give Divine Shield to everything. Everything. Yeah. Human comp incoming. Yeah, this human comp looks really well. Really good. As far as Tyrion goes on his own, I want to say he's amazing. He doesn't need to work with humans. On his own, he just boosts himself 24. Attack, kill something, everything gets Divine Shield. And you dandy. Put a healer in there and you're fine. So I think Tyrion is going to go to our almighty grade S. So it's a 4th grade S. If you want to know what are the other grade S mercenaries, make sure to check the other videos I've done before. But God, he is powerful. I do want to have a Tyrion now. Now we're going to be looking at the Priestess of the Moon, Tyrande herself. Tyrande Whisperwing is a fighter night elf. With level 1, she has 1 attack and 9 health. Level 15, she has 3 attack and 41 health. And level 30, 7 attack and 76 health. So the health is quite substantial, in the upper 70s. Low attack, so I assume she's a a spell casting. Oh, she's an archer, I guess. So, spell casting type of abilities. Let's see what she has. First ability, Arcane Shot, very archer thing. It's a 7-speed arcane ability. Deal 4 damage to an enemy, and it scales all the way up to 14 damage. Single target, 14 damage. On Arcane, I think the fact that it's Arcane can have some significance, because there is Millhouse Mana Storm in casters that can get some Arcane damage, if I remember correctly. So that might be quite important. A nice breakpoint, 12 damage on rank 3. Then getting additional 2 damage if you decide to level it up. You don't really need to. But it is there as an option if you have nothing to do with her coins. Her next ability is Arcane Salvo. It's a 5-speed arcane ability with no cooldown, which is important to mention, that deals 2 damage to 2 random enemies. So this essentially splits the damage of Arcane Shot, but it scales up to 8 damage, so deals 16 total, whereas Arcane Shot dealt 14 total. Yeah, if your opponent has 2 bodies, if you can increase this damage, this obviously the arcane damage increase on this one is going to be bigger, because 1 arcane damage essentially gives you 2 more damage dealt. It's a good enough ability. On rank 3, dealing 12 damage split between 2 targets is really nice. Problem is it's random enemies and your opponent needs to have at least 2 targets. I like the fact that it doesn't have a cooldown though, so you can use it pretty much. If your opponent has multi-targets, you can just go salvo, 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 salvo. If your opponent has just 1 target, you can go into Arcane Shot. It's really, really nice. And her final ability is Elune's Grace. So Elune is the goddess, the moon that Tyrande is a priestess of. It's a 6-speed arcane ability with cooldown 1 that says your next arcane ability casts twice and is permanently 1 speed faster. So the way this scales is on rank 3, it increases the speed by 3. And then it becomes faster itself, so it goes down to 4 speed. Technically, if you use Elune's Grace, and then don't use any arcane ability afterwards, and then use Elune's Grace as well, it's technically possible, but Tyrande has other arcane abilities as well. So she would need to skip her turn somehow, and I don't think you are allowed to do that, because all of her abilities are arcane, so it's really difficult to skip anything. Unless you could remove Elune's Grace cooldown. It doesn't really matter. At 4 speed is going to be good enough for majority of the abilities. And I think being able to have the next arcane ability cast twice and making it permanently faster is really good. I do want to pair this up with Millhouse's Arcane Explosion. That's pretty much what I'm looking at. So her first equipment is Elune's Charm. Arcane Shot deals 2 more damage. It's flat out increased. It goes all the way up to 5. So Arcane Shot will be able to deal 19 damage, which is alright for a no cooldown ability. Her second equipment is Verdant Recurve. Arcane Salvo deals 1 more damage, and this one is way more substantial, because as I mentioned, increasing damage of that salvo increases essentially by twice that much. So this one can increase the damage by up to 4, which means it's 8 damage increase, so you deal 24 damage rather than 16. With any arcane damage, this is a really good, not AoE, but double target attack. Just nice. I think it's good enough. It's interesting ability. Interesting equipment that can help you. It depends what you want to do with Tyrande, if she's supposed to be picking up on multiple targets on 1 target. I think she's mostly going to be built with Elune's Grace as a core, and then you choose if you go into Salvo or Shot, if you want a single target or multi-target to help pick up certain things. I think multi-target might be more popular, both in PvP and PvE. And so I think the Verdant Recurve is going to be really good equipment for that. And the last one is, I don't know what to think about Band of the Wilds. So Band of the Wilds, Elune's Grace also affects nature abilities, which means that there is a potential. It doesn't say instead of arcane, it also affects nature abilities. There is a potential to make arcane/nature comp. I don't know how it would work, and there is Malfurion, which is nature, And I think there is a Lady Anaconda also has nature abilities. It's interesting. That's the best I can say. It is interesting. I'm wondering how it's going to work. Besides that, Tyrande is very solid. I think that Elune's Grace is going to be important for any arcane builds. And she might be a centerpiece around some sort of an arcane PvP build. And with that, Elune's Grace into some enormous explosion or blast or greater arcane missiles, actually, even. That would be stupid as well. So, my verdict on Tyrande, I think she's solid. Obviously, she's not self-contained, because even though you can make your own abilities cast twice, and although, that being said, Elune's Grace into Arcane Salvo with increased damage, that's 48 damage. It's split between 4 targets, or rather 2 targets twice, and it's going to be different targets every time, most likely, because it's 2 random targets and 2 random targets, so might hit the same targets, but who knows. She might be kind of self-contained, but she doesn't do that much. She doesn't affect your opponent, and you don't have much control of where her damage goes, unless you go Arcane Shot, but then Arcane Shot is not that great. So I think she's going to be a grade A. She's a good character, she is solid, but I think she's going to be more of a corner piece for the arcane strategy than anything else. We are almost finishing with all the fighters. Next one on our list, penultimate mercenary for fighters, is Valerie Sanguina. So Valerie is a blood elf rogue that works for the Alliance. She's a very peculiar character. In this case, she's a fighter blood elf. Level 1, she has 2 attack and 10 health. Level 15, she has 5 attack and 38 health. Level 30, she has 9 attack and 70 health. So she's going to be a rogue, obviously, because she's a demon rogue, exactly. And she has a low attack. Question is, does she depend on the attack, or does she depend on some other abilities? Well, let's check. Her first ability is Eviscerate. Full speed ability, deal 2 damage. Combo, deal 6 damage instead. So this is a flat out increase by 4, and that increase is getting increased as well. And has very interesting breakpoints. So at rank 3 it does 8 damage or combo 14 damage. At rank 5 it does 10 damage or combo 18 damage. So the damage increase is actually quite big. It's always increasing the increase by 1. So rank 1 has 4 damage increase and rank 2 has 5 damage increase, etc. Then rank 5 we have 8 damage increase. 18 damage is quite a lot. And it needs to be comboed and it's 4 speed. So you need some faster abilities. Potentially she could work with scabs, but I think there's also other better 2 or 3 speed abilities, or you can make your abilities faster. Her second ability is Finishing Blow. 5 speed ability with cooldown 1. Attack the lowest health enemy. Combo, gain 2 attack first, and that scales on rank 3. She gains 8 attack. And on rank 5 she gains 10 attack. That is actually quite a lot. And the fact that she always attacks the lowest health enemy, so you don't target that enemy. You use this ability, if you use something earlier that's going to lower someone else on life, let's say to under 20 life, then you can use that finishing blow to pick up on them. That's actually quite nice. So you can always target the lowest health enemy, or you can set it up for nice AoE that's going to come after this. To finish off at least one character. I really like this ability. It has cooldown 1. It's a good attack gain if you can have something acting before her. All in all, very solid ability. And her final ability is Fan of Knives. 7 speed ability with cooldown 1. Deal 2 damage to all enemies. Your other mercenaries are 1 speed faster next turn. It's only for mercenaries, doesn't work for other characters, so doesn't work for tokens. The damage increase is actually flat across all of the ranks. So you end up at rank 5 with 10 damage, but the speed increase goes only up to rank 3, which is 3 speed increase, and then it's just damage increase. So it's only if you want to increase the damage of Fan of Knives that you should upgrade this. But 3 speed increase on your other mercenaries next turn makes it so much easier to actually proc any combos you might have. Makes it difficult to use other characters' combos, but makes it very easy to use Valera's combos. So you use Fan of Knives, then the next turn you use Finishing Blow, then you use Fan of Knives, Finishing Blow, Fan of Knives. So she's going to be rotating Fan of Knives and Finishing Blow all the time. I think that's going to be her gameplay. Which is not bad, nothing bad, right? Because she's going to be gaining, I wanted to say 5 attack, 10 attack. She's going to be gaining 10 attack every other turn. So she's going to become quite big. For her equipment, her first one is Eviscerator, which flat out increases the damage of Eviscerate by up to 4. We've seen this type of equipment before. It's just a flat out damage increase. Second equipment is Sanguine Dagger. So this one has only 1 ability. And it's a passive ability. Whenever another friendly mercenary casts any combo ability, gains stealth. Okay. So any combo ability, it can be, we've seen Ragnaros with fire combo, so it can be this type of combo ability. We have Scabs that has his combo ability as well, but to proc his combo ability you do need to use something that's going to be faster. But that means that you can technically keep Valera constantly in stealth if you set it up properly. I can dig this. This can be quite interesting if you can set it up, but I think we need a bit more combo abilities before this is viable. And her last equipment is Twin Blade Daggers. Fan of Knives makes your other mercs faster by up to 3 more speed. So it doubles the speed gain from Fan of Knives. So you can make characters up to 6 faster. It's good for some fast characters. It's nice to act first, but mostly on like AoE abilities. I'm not sure if Twin Blade Daggers are going to be that good. They're definitely going to be decent to have. I don't think you need to upgrade them if you already upgrade your Fan of Knives to rank 3. So then you increase the speed of everything else by 4, and I think pretty much you're set. I don't think you need to do much more than that. It's a good equipment, but I think the Sanguine Daggers are going to be a bit better if we have more combo abilities. As far as Valera goes, she's a good legendary, and the increase on speed is good, but at the same time, it's only for 1 turn. It needs to be specifically set up. I don't know what to think about that. It's interesting. I like her finishing move. She's always going to be finishing off that weakest character. I think that might be her best use. Because then Fan of Knives is going to be setting up that finishing move being comboed, etc. So you can very easily do that. I think she's solid. I think she's going to be a grade A. I think we had 1 legendary character that was not A for me. So that's good to see. There is some power level to those legendary characters. I don't like that we see so many legendary characters, but I'm going to be breaking down all the rarities of mercenaries at some point in the future as well. Is War Master Voon. So War Master Voon is a fighter troll mercenary. On level 1 he has 2 attack and 10 health. On level 15 he has 4 attack and 42 health. And on level 30 he has 8 attack and 77 health. So War Master Voon in Hearthstone was a legendary for dragons. I think a warrior legendary for dragons. So I assume he's going to be working something with dragons. So, ability 1, Axe Throw. Deal 4 damage to an enemy and one of its neighbors. It's an alright ability, so it doubles up the damage. If you throw it on the edge character, or outcast character if you prefer, it's going to hit. You know what it's going to hit this way around. So it's fairly easy to control, actually. And it has a decent damage increase, because with every rank it actually gains damage, which is interesting enough. So it starts at 4, it goes all the way up to 8, so it's 16 damage. Yeah, and it's a shame that it doesn't go to both adjacent and then lowers the damage a bit, because if it capped at 6 damage and then dealt damage to both adjacent enemies, that would be quite nice. But that might be just me. His second ability is Fire Breath. It's a 6 speed fire ability with cooldown 1, and deal 2 damage, repeat for each dragon you control. So this is a dragon payoff if you have multiple dragons, which we have seen so far only Alexstrasza. And I think there's Brightwing as well, and those are the only dragons. I kind of expected more of the aspects. I expected to see Ysera, I expected to see Calegos, Malagos, who am I missing? Deathwing even. Yeah, I'm surprised that we haven't. Oh, Nosdomo. Not sure how they would do Nosdomo in Mercenaries. But yeah, I was expecting to see more dragons. It's a shame that we only got Alexstrasza so far from the aspects. It's just decent enough damage. Breakpoint being rank 3, dealing 8 damage, and then in rank 5, dealing 10 damage. If you have a lot of other dragons, sure. I think it deals to the same target, so it's good enough. You can do some serious damage with this, which, yeah. And his final ability is, oh, it's Evasive Worm. So this is a Divine Shield Rush Dragon with 7 speed and 1 cooldown, 10 attack for health. It's actually quite a good card. So as all of the tokens go, we don't actually know the stats that we're getting with this. I can make some guesses, but I expect this ending at about 20 attack, maybe 24. And fairly low health because this is a Divine Shield minion. So this is a dragon that's, as far as I know, it's going to attack immediately when it spawns. So it's going to pop off its own Divine Shield, and next turn you can use the Dragon's Breath to deal 20 damage. If you have other dragons, you can do up to 40. And then I don't think Evasive Worm is going to survive that long afterwards. But it is a nice thing that he can spawn his own dragons, which means that Alexstrasza can also be procced by this. For his equipment, his first one is Dragon's Mark. Fire Breath deals 1 more damage, flat out damage increase. And this is amazing because that damage increase is also going to be done to every time you copy it for every dragon you have. So that goes all the way up to 4, so it's going to be 14 damage on Fire Breath. If you have 2 other dragons, that is essentially 12 damage increase. And this type of damage increases is one of the best flat increases because those are multiple abilities or multiple targets. Those are really good increases, so I think this is going to be one of the better ones for Vun. Then we have Worm Claws. Evasive Worm has +2 attack and Wind Fury. So you win some, you lose some with this one. +5 attack means it can clear off more. Wind Fury means that it's most likely not surviving the second swing. It can deal its damage twice, so it becomes a really high damage output. And I don't hate this. Because then you just give up on the Dragon's Breath, you just go Axe Throw and Evasive Worm, Axe Throw, Evasive Worm, and you just keep on going. Because it's just going, if I'm right and it's going to be about 20 attack, it becomes 25. Wind Fury, that's 50 damage. You don't control where it goes, but if it survives, suddenly it can attack twice more. And the final one is Dragon Rune Axe. which gives you a passive ability after a friendly dragon attacks an enemy. So it doesn't work with the abilities, it needs to attack. Deal 4 damage to the enemy. I assume it's to the enemy that has been attacked. And it scales all the way up to 10. So you essentially increase the attack of all of your dragons by 10 if they're attacking. And I think at this moment, I don't think Alexstrasza was attacking. So yeah, this is only working on Evasive Worm. It's not bad. It's a shame that you can't have Dragon Rune Axe and the one that gives Wind Fury. The Worm Claws. Because that would be a really good combo. But I think you can't have it for a reason. Hopefully you can get it in PvE. Because that would be a really fun combo. Because then you would be able to do quite a lot of damage. Another thing worth mentioning is that in PvE, Vune can be used to get some good XP with Evasive Worm if you give it Wind Fury. Because you can very quickly clear some of the combats. Which is, yeah. So as far as Vune goes, he's alright. I like his Evasive Worm. Either if you give him Wind Fury or if you use the Dragon Rune Axe. I think we're going to see some more dragons coming out in the next couple of months. So Rune Axe is going to just get better, and so will Vune with his Fire Breath, Dragon Breath ability. Axe Throw is alright as well. Shame he doesn't have any other interactions because he's a troll, so we don't have any troll tribals. I think Dragon's Breath is fire, but I don't think that's good enough to put it in the fire comp. So he's definitely just for the dragons. He is kind of self-contained with Evasive Worms, but then he doesn't do an awful lot because the Evasive Worms only come out every other turn. If you don't do Evasive Worm, or if the worm dies, the Dragon's Breath doesn't do that much. So where I'm going to put you, Vune? You are solid, and I think the worms are going to be annoying enough, even if they're going to be attacking random targets. So I think you are going to be grade A. I think I'm going to see a lot of you in some weird comps that are just going to be using you for the Divine Shield. Yeah. So Vune is going to be grade A. And that was the last one for today, guys. That was a part 2 of the fighters reviewed. This was for Hearthstone Mercenaries. I'm really excited for this game mode. If you haven't seen it, we do have part 1 and part 2 of Protectors and part 1 of the fighters already on our channel. Hopefully they're playlisted as well. There's more coming in next week. We are going to be doing some theory crafting. So we have, I think, 6 or 7 compositions coming in for both for PvE and PvP. And so make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content and you want to follow it more. And of course, as soon as Mercenaries is going to hit on the live servers, on European servers, I'm going to be streaming it on Tuesday, the 12th of October. And then some follow-up streams on 13th of October as well. So make sure to like and subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. And I'll see you guys around next time.